word mad, at least in English, means both angry and crazy. Yeah, we're crazy with anger, unexpressed anger, unfulfillment. Well, once you are able to make that transformation, then you can start finding meaning and purpose and start planning, set up goals for yourself. It's hard if you skip this step about transforming your anger, you probably won't find a way to identify your goals. There'll be someone else's goals until you grab, this is really where you grab control of your life, where you use your anger to assert yourself. That's when you really grab control of your own decision making, your own self-determination. Self-determination may mean that you have to express your anger, because other people may not want you to express yourself. Teenagers often appear angry. Well, they're just trying to express their autonomy. And it's hard for parents to let go. I have 2 daughters. They're in their 30s. Actually, I wish they would let go. No. They are taking control of their life. They're making decisions. Both seem to be deciding to be artists. My wife and I hope they'll make a living. But they're happy. They're following their heart. They're following their passion. And then you can enter into politics, gain a presence, present yourself, persuade other people. I stopped at 12. We could have had more peas. I want to say a word about peer-run respites, and then a word about emotional CPR for the people that didn't get to hear about it yesterday. And actually they go together, respites and emotional CPR. We're encouraging peers to help other peers, but we aren't giving any ideas about how they can do that. In fact, we're kind of interfering with what peers know to do best by training them in traditional counseling. Traditional counseling is pretty lousy at helping people, especially in crisis. I'm not sure really how many people it helps, to be honest, because I think everyone needs to grasp control of their life, not just people that are labeled. So peer-run respite is a crisis alternative to a hospital, and its intention is to divert hospitalization. They're staffed and operated by peers who have professional training. Now, I don't like that word professional right there. This is somebody else's slide. I would say just who have training, hopefully by peers actually, in providing crisis support, build mutual and trusting relationships. Peer-run respites are usually located in a house or in a residential neighborhood, in a safe, home-like environment for people to overcome crisis. Instead of a scary institution where lots of people all herded together, usually only 3 or 4 people, each having your own bedroom. And it still costs less than a hospital, 1/3 the cost of a hospital. There should be one on every corner, my God. A city the size of Seoul should probably have 30 or 40 of them. We have 30 in the U.S. right now in the whole country. 330 million people, we got 30. That's 1 for every 10 million people. There are only 3 or 4 beds in each one. We could use more. And we're trying. Some states have a wealth of them. Small state of New Hampshire has 1 million residents and has 4 peer-run respites. State of Texas, 25 million people, 0 respites. So you have like, what, 50 million people here? Yeah, 1/6. You should at least start with 5. I'd say, let's get 5 going. We'll work on 5 in Korea. We'll help you too. Now we have manuals, we got research, we got procedures, we got all the ideas, supports. We can help. So why have them? Scarce resources, they're much less expensive. You'd think everybody says there's not enough money, you know, in the mental health system. And these only cost 1/3 of the cost of a hospital. There's plenty of money. Hospitals cost like $1,000 a day, probably $1,000 a day here. A little less than $1,000 a day? Yeah. How much? They're cheap here? Hospitals are cheap. Well, in the U.S. they're about $1,000. Plus you have police that pick people up, you have emergency rooms people are taken to. Anyway, they're still cheaper. Maybe here they're 50%. We don't want to make them too cheap. Because people should get paid a decent wage. They're less traumatic because they're voluntary. People go on their own. And why do they want to go to get help? Because they're given help. They're given help and hope. They aren't told they have a hopeless condition. They're saying, I've been through this condition, the people who work there, and I got through it, and you can do it too. And I'll give you some clues. They have employment of peers and the value of mutuality and equality, which is very important in a crisis. Here's a picture of one in Nebraska, right in the middle of our country. It's actually licensed as a bed and breakfast. So they don't have to go through all the red tape. It's not an Airbnb. Although one person has recently recommended using Uber with emotional CPR. Yeah. Emotional CPR on call. I need a crisis person. I need a peer. Okay, we'll send one over. I'm not going to go through all the way to sell it. They're in your book. How to sell people on. Okay. And here's something. This is new. You can go to our website and see there is research evidence that peer support reduces the incidence of hospitalization. Okay. Here's a quick run through emotional CPR. 5 minutes. It says 5 minutes, right? Do I get 10 minutes? Okay. You just gave me 5 more minutes. Okay. Nice to have friends in a high place. Okay, so we have, first of all, in order for emotional CPR to make sense, you have to have a different idea of what emotional distress is. Because if you think emotional distress is a chemical imbalance, then of course you just take a pill and change the balance. But we've already argued against the chemical imbalance theory. But so we have a social theory that emotional distress is due to trauma and loss. So instead of being connected, heart to heart, mind to mind, people get isolated, and that means going from dialogue to monologue. Going into your own world. You have this expression here, somebody's crazy, do you go like that? Yeah, you go like that? Yeah, he's crazy. Well, it's interesting, it's like your thoughts just go round and round. Yeah, because you don't have anyone else to interrupt the sequence. If we never had contact with other people, we'd just be everybody in their own world. And guess what? That's happening. That's sort of the default position of our nervous system and our bodies, is just to take care of ourselves. And if we don't have contact with other people, we get more and more frightened, and we circle in upon ourselves. Very dangerous. So that's broken heart, trapped in monologue, but emotional CPR will help you back through connecting with other people, through experiencing empowerment, by experiencing your passion and purpose, and then you can gain a sense of being alive again. We have a trainer, she's from originally Poland, now lives in Scotland, and she said that emotional CPR really gave her back her life, made her feel that life was worth living again. kind of startled me when I heard that. But that is literally what revitalization means, is vitality, comes from the Latin or some Western world for life, vita. So we're bringing life back. We're bringing life back. It's not just recovery, because recovery is just mainly for people who've been labeled mentally ill. Emotional CPR is for anyone, to help anyone through a difficult time, and in fact is for anyone to communicate with anyone, because we're all going through a difficult time. Just some of us are aware of what a difficult time we're going through. And as human beings, we've probably always been going through a difficult time. Just understanding another human being is much more complicated than we realize. I don't have the slide up yet, but there's a new one that I'm working on, which is all the channels of communication that we have with another person. The verbal is just one of probably 20 different channels. We have our hands, we have our face, we have our eyes, we have our gestures, we have our movement, we have our tone of voice. There's so many ways that we communicate. And each one of them is trying to contribute to what we're trying to say. And unless we have all our channels open, and our hearts open, and our souls open, we're going to miss a lot of them. Unfortunately, by the way, we men are at a disadvantage. We think words are the story. And you know what? There are probably only about 10 or 15% of communication is in the actual words. Yeah. There's a movie out, Hitch. I don't know if people have seen it, Will Smith, and he's telling a younger guy how he can be more successful in dating. He said, first of all, recognize that the verbal part of communication is only 10%. 90% is nonverbal. 90% is on the emotional realm. Women know that. Men, we're not taught that. We think, typical story in a relationship, maybe the wife might say, husband, did you hear what I said? The husband said, I heard every word. I can repeat every word to you. The wife said, you didn't hear what I said, did you? Now what she's really saying in a way was, did you feel what I said? Not did you hear it. I sometimes recommend it to men, just try to feel what a woman is saying. Don't sit there and repeat the words. Never be another day. ECPR actually would probably be a good dating preparation, especially for men. Yeah. For women who would like to have more dates, or women who would, it isn't always men going out with women. I don't want to raise the whole issue of LGBTQI. There are many, many letters. Both my daughters are very open with us and with the world, that they have described themselves as queer. And it's an interesting learning experience for my wife and I, what that means. When I was growing up, queer was a very derogatory term. But my younger daughter, who probably should have been a lawyer, she said to me that I should know what queer means, because I raised them to look beyond labels. And I was like, I didn't necessarily mean every label. But she said, well, it's looking beyond the label of male and female to the human being. And looking beyond heteronormal, looking beyond that and seeing there's value in other combinations between people. So I'll finish with what I call the 6 intentions. These are not instructions. and you can't repeat them word for word. If you're with somebody who's in crisis, try not to repeat them. That'll only make people angrier. Don't read them to somebody. Just take them into your own heart and be able to feel them, so that when you're with somebody, you just can be with them in a different way. This isn't a toolkit. This isn't a set of skills. We do this training, 20 people for 2 days. We're going to try to find ways to have a shorter version for people that don't have 2 days. We're going to try to find a way to do some of it online for people that can't come in person. But I'm not thrilled about the online idea, because you really need to hear the voice, see the face of a person, sense their closeness or their distance. But if it's that or nothing, maybe we'll start with online. Also, just because I'm 12,000 miles away. We do have some trainers in Singapore. I was talking to Professor G about that, and in Australia. And granted, that's not like right next door. That's a lot closer. So the first intention is, I will connect through feelings first. Just pause for a moment on that one. That means you're with somebody, they're in distress. Don't start asking them questions right away. Just try to sit with them and sit with their feelings, uncomfortable as they may be. Somebody's crying, or maybe harder yet, they're yelling. You may think they're yelling at you. Maybe they're just yelling. Absorb it. Wait for a little bit. Stay in contact though. Stay connected. Your eyes, your ears, and your heart, and be respectful. But connect on the feeling level first. Don't try to track down, and then what happened, and then where were you, and what happened after that. That's all up here. We're trying to help people to feel comfortable expressing what's in the rest of the body. I go here, but it's really their arms, their legs, their back. It's all parts of your body. Secondly, I will feel your presence. I'm with you, and I'll feel your presence. I'll stay with you, but I also share some of my feelings in response to you. It may not be the same feeling, although often when you're with somebody that's very sad, you may feel some of their sadness. It's okay to say, you know, I'm feeling kind of sad for what you're describing. Not you made me sad. Not that I know that you're sad. I'm just feeling kind of sad right at this moment. And then stop right there. Don't elaborate on it because I had a similar experience. It's okay to share some of your experience, but mostly we're saying share the feeling that you're going through. And number 3 is very, very important. Be, don't do. Just try to be with the person. Don't try to fix them. Don't try to make recommendations. Don't tell them, you know, I've got a great idea for what's wrong with you. Don't explain them. Just be there with them. Say, I'm going to stick with you. And this, try to listen in the fashion of chunk. 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 Don't need a translation for that. Chunk. One word at a time. Maybe next time I'll have a couple more. So this is a very amazing thing that the Chinese character for listen has the ears, the eyes, the heart, 10 eyes in fact, and respect. The fourth intention really goes with the third, which is I'm not sure what's best for you. I'm not going to try to fix you, and I'm not sure what's best for you, but I'm not leaving you. I'm sticking with you. I'm staying here, and we're going to explore the unknown together. And I had a terrific therapist, actually. I remember I would say to him something like, he one time said, I said to him one time, I'm really worried that if I get into my feelings that I won't be as productive as I had been before. Because, you know, if you suppress your feelings, you can turn out a lot of work. Of course, it may be terrible work. But he said, don't worry. You'll always have that drive. It'll always be there with you, so you can explore your emotions. And I said, oh, that was so great of you to say that and to recognize that. And he said, you came up with it. It was from you. He always pointed out that insights that we came up with together, usually it was something I've been working towards. And that made me feel so good. Oh, I played a role in that. It wasn't just you're giving me an insight. The fifth one is really related to that too. Together, 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 together. Try to be together with somebody. When they're in crisis, they feel alone. They feel powerless and they feel alone. You can't empower them, but you can be with them in such a fashion that they can experience their power. Be humble. Don't be a know-it-all. Don't come in as an expert. They can experience their own power, and they can feel that you're there with them. It's hard for someone to feel that somebody's with them if you're just giving them orders and giving them instructions. So, together, we'll release the power to heal that lies within us. And you gain power too in being with someone in a fashion that the two of you actually experience something new, something different, a new point of view, a new perspective. That means that you don't feel drained. Sometimes peers yesterday, they were saying, I feel drained when I help someone. That means you're doing too much of the work. When you work together, you won't feel drained. And lastly, we actually create new life, new voice with a capital V. That's a deeper voice. It's the voice of your whole being. And new hope in the present moment, which is revitalizing. Very important that it be in the present moment. And we actually can, I believe, and I've seen it and felt it, and that woman from Poland expressed it, actually can create new life for both people. Both the person who started out assisting and the person who started out in distress can both experience new life, a new hope that wasn't there before, and new energy. So you can get energy from it. I feel that way when I come and I share with people, you know, in different countries. This, at my stage of life, it's not that easy to travel, you know, halfway around the world. But I feel so encouraged by being with you all. I feel so excited by your enthusiasm, by your eagerness to learn and to take control of your own lives and change your society. It doesn't feel like a big deal to me. I feel encouraged, I feel energy. I'm very grateful. Professor G came and found me. So thank you. Thank you all very much.